Welcome back. We're back in town now after gathering all of that medicine yesterday or the other day. What we're doing today is we're going to be separating some of the Devil's Club for the shavings as well as for the tea. On a general rule, I usually use the tips for the tea, the skinniest part. And when you're separating them, what I'm doing is I'm cutting for the tea as well in one of these buckets. It's a lot easier to put it back in the tea bag. And as I'm doing the separation, I'm taking all this moss off of some of it. This one here actually might be used for, it's got a possibility of a feather holder. 2 feathers will go in there and they'll be side by side. It'll be a 2 feather holder. It's not too bad. And so I usually have my cutters around when I'm doing this. And I found another one earlier that looks like that. And I'm going to cut off all of these little roots. Well, pull them off, cut them off. Either or, doesn't matter. All of that comes off. And so what I might do is drill a hole on this side here, and then I'll have, once all that's shaved off, it'll look really nice. It'll look this color here, like the Devil's Club beads. And once again, the Devil's Club beads, the quickest, easiest way to explain them is it's like a cross. It does all of the stuff the cross does, but more. And it draws the good energy to you. It repels the bad people from you. Brings you good luck. So many different spiritual things. And so when you have your sticks, your talking sticks, your smudge feathers, this is gonna be a talking stick. Your smudge sticks, your beads, all of those things carry that stuff. So when I'm separating, I'm kind of looking at that as well. But the reason I'm separating them right away is two. One is to get that moss off of these bigger ones so that it goes into my tea. The other thing is that when I'm separating them, some of the little ones start looking like big ones. And so this one here would be a small one for now for the tea, but later it might actually become a shaver depending on how many I have for shaving, because I have all my shaving pile right here. And a lot of the times the shaving pile are the big ones and they don't have a lot of thorns. Those are the ones closest to the ground. And you'll notice I have some littler ones in here as well. But later on I might filter it out again and then put that into my tea, or it might continue to be my shavings. Right? But the reason that I want to do this now is because when you get into the bigger stalks, you're going to wind up with a lot of, some of it's going to be really knotty and bendy. So this one here I'm going to use for example. Right here, you see how it's got the bend and all that knots and stuff in it? So instead of fighting with that, shaving it for the medicine part, what I'm going to do, because I'm making the tea bags right now anyway, I'm going to cut that out. Now that part here that's left, this part here is really easy to shave. We're going to just scrape the needles off, scrape the brown off, and then I have the medicine, right? But if I'm going to do the oil, I'm going to just scrape the needles off, and then I'm going to peel the medicine part off of here. I won't necessarily have to scrape it. And that's, so the reason I like doing this right away is because later on in life, these bigger ones, so this one here, see how hard that's going to be really hard to shave in there. So instead of fighting with it, I'm going to just cut that out. This whole big chunk will go in my tea now. I don't have to fight with anything. And so when you're doing Devil's Club and you're going to find out the amount of hours and hours it takes, the Devil's Club will win. It always does. So don't fight with it. just kind of work around it. All of those little knots and stuff that you might have trouble scraping. And when you're learning the scraping part, it's time. You can't learn it all at once. It's just time and making those little mistakes and finding out what works best for you. Right? See? And so the only way you're going to find that out is putting the time in for scraping it and getting that medicine, right? And you'll notice here, I have these little knots right there. I have that. I'm not going to fight with that. And this is a nice thick one. I'm not going to fight with that in any way. Plus, I'm making tea anyway. And so I'll just cut it off where I know it's going to be easy to scrape. And that big chunk, I'm going to just cut up in little pieces. The reason that we're cutting it up in little pieces in the first place is, we're trying to make more space. So if I boil this whole thing here, the middle part might not get the heat and everything else might not get at the middle part. But when I cut it short, like that, well then it'll boil right through. So I'm getting everything, right? And that's why you cut them into little chunks for your tea, right? And me, when I'm doing it, I like just finding a nice little place to sit and got a nice set of clippers here. I find a place to sit. I put that clipper under my leg and I just start cutting it into the bucket. You can do this with two people, it's a little bit easier, but if you're all by yourself like I'm normally at, a lot of the times it's just whatever works for you to get it in there, right? And so I'll be back after that. The main thing that I wanted to make sure you understood is just getting all the scrapers out, the big scrapers, and cutting off all the things that you're going to wind up in the tea anyway, right? And so you'll notice I have that guy. I know right now it's going to be easy to scrape from here to there, so that's getting cut off right away. I know I could scrape some good medicine off of that right there. So that's going to get cut off right here. See? And now I have a nice little scraper for the internal medicine, right? And then this chunk here, now I have a nice little chunk that I can cut up a little bit more. Just open it up. You don't have to get right through it. If you can't get right through it, don't worry about it. As long as you cut in, oh, I cut right through it. As long as you slash into the wood where the water can boil inside, because we're going to be boiling this for 4 hours. And always remember, and I'm going to say this over and over and over again, always bring your medicines, put your medicines in cold water and bring it to a boil. Gently let your medicines warm up. Don't shock your medicines and get it into a panic mode. Just imagine yourself jumping into a 150 to 200 degree jacuzzi and see how that feels to you. Or if you gently go into a nice warm jacuzzi and then the heat comes up and you can withstand a lot more heat, it's a lot more gentle. So that's why we start our teas at a nice cool temperature and you gently bring it up to the heat and to the boil. Okay, awesome. I'm hoping that's a little bit helpful to you. I'm gonna go at her again and then I'll be back. Have a great day.